Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and look, it's Jayson.
It's me!
Today we're going to tell you how we felt about the Super Mario Brothers movie. Not the 1993 film, of course, but the brand new Illumination plus Nintendo movie. And has it occurred to you, Jayson, that they released this movie on, I'm sure completely unintentionally, the 30th anniversary of the original Super Mario Brothers movie, which Nintendo disparages, and a lot of the reason that this came together the way it did was because of the experience they had with that movie.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really funny. This is on an anniversary. Yeah. We can't even get like decades later sequels sometimes out to things for an anniversary, but this managed to be an anniversary. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, I think that's really funny.
Did you have that thought?
I did. When I was like in my brain comparing the two movies, I was like, wait, that's a 93 movie. Wait, that was 30 years ago. I'm not watching it this year for the anniversary, by the way. I'm not. No.
You don't like that movie? Not even ironically?
No, it's terrible.
But actually you did watch it with us.
No, I didn't.
Oh, were you not there for that?
I was there for Wizard.
Oh, that's true. You weren't. Okay, make sure you speak up a little bit.
Okay, I was there for... Okay.
I'm doing my best with this microphone, but just make sure that folks can hear you. Anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks a lot for being here live. We appreciate you watching after the fact if you're doing that instead. Originally, we were going to do this tomorrow, and I want to apologize for the real short notice on this, but we found out that Connor and Austin also, who were both going to try to be here for the review tomorrow, couldn't make it because of Easter plans that either came up or they didn't know about. So we decided we were going to go ahead and do it at the same time, just the two of us, and then we thought, well, we got an open evening, and we got to see it again this afternoon. So we've seen the movie twice now, and we figured more folks might have a chance to check in with us tonight than tomorrow, given that it is Easter. So happy Easter to everybody. Have a great holiday tomorrow, and good luck with the Easter egg hunts and whatever else you might be doing. But right now, we're going to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie. We're going to give you our real general thoughts before we get into spoilers. And as always, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount if you are so inclined. We will guarantee that we talk about your topic regarding the movie, whatever you want to make sure that we tackle with this. We're going to try to, I always say this and I always fail at it, we're going to try to keep to about an hour tonight. So if there's something you really want us to talk about that we aren't getting to, help us direct the conversation with your comments either in super chat or just regular comments, and we will try to answer as many of those things as well that we can. But yeah, so we're gonna just give you our general thoughts, and then we'll really open it up and let you guys drive the conversation. I'm already seeing some super chats there from Tom, and we will get to those after we do our quick sign flip. And I'm gonna give Jayson the floor a lot tonight because this is very much his wheelhouse. And Jayson is super familiar with the Mario Brothers series. Jayson, for folks that are not familiar with you and what you do, would you just talk for a minute about your video game kind of research life and what you do with that, and just kind of throw your creds out there for a second?
Yeah. So I basically, I love to research, and kind of my sweet spot is video games, and I just like to. And mostly Nintendo, mostly Mario, just kind of, I just like to learn, secrets and glitches and history and just a bunch of just different, like, random Nintendo stuff. And, a couple years ago, I started a YouTube channel where I talk about secrets in video games, and so that's, one, letting me, use my knowledge to do something with it, and two, letting me do more research and stuff.
Yeah. So Jayson really knows his stuff with this, I guess is what I'm saying. And Jayson, if you're anything like me, I'm finding it, because of course I've been a Mario fan going all the way back to when I was a kid, and am familiar with certainly a lot of the games and a lot of the lore, but Jayson at this point probably knows even more than I do, not just from playing games, but from looking into stuff. And so I imagine he's going to bring up some things tonight that I am not aware of or didn't think about while I was watching the movie, although I know I stumped you on at least a couple things.
You did, but it was all music, and I was like, and I'm not a big I really like music, but I'm with video games and movies, I'm not paying attention to music that much.
Yeah.
With this movie, I was trying to figure out as much as I could, but I also am really bad at just remembering different music, especially for video games.
Well, music was one of the big things that I was most interested and concerned about with this, just because some percentage of my love for this franchise is about Kondo's music and Mario Kart music from the original and a lot of that stuff. Wise with Donkey Kong Country, and I wasn't sure how much of that we would get, given that this is Brian Tyler again, who has been kind of, for me, more misses than hits with some of his scores, and particularly adaptation. Like, I'm pretty sure that's who did the Power Rangers 2017 movie, is it not?
Oh.
And I don't know if he wasn't really allowed to do very much, Power Rangers music with that, but I didn't know initially how much actual, original Mario or traditional Mario stuff we would get in this. And then we got some in that first teaser, and then we got a bunch in like a 45-second clip that came out where you heard 4 or 5 themes all in a row from different games spanning several years, and I was like, I felt kind of relieved after that. And so that was the thing I was really, thinking about and looking for going into the movie.
And Koji Kondo actually made a little bit of music for this.
Oh, did he really?
He made a couple new tracks. You know that crazy rock song in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Where he's like, Brooklyn! Yeah, that's Kondo.
Well, no, that's that's an old song.
Well, okay, that's not...
Because when you said that, because you said that to me this time, because we've seen the movie twice, as I said, and you looked over to me and you said, this is Kondo, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's an early 90s song. Like,
there's a song that plays in Brooklyn that is Kondo.
It's not that song.
But it's not that song.
Yeah. Trust me, it's not that song.
Yeah, I know it's not that song. But
is that a Beastie Boys song? I don't even remember, but it's not that song. Anyway.
In the theater, I was like...
So this is going to be... We'll go ahead and do sign flips. This is going to be a really odd and difficult one for me, because it's very difficult, and we're already doing this, not to just get mired in the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Because this is... And I'm hearing, some folks that are really happy about this, and some folks that this is their main complaint. This is very much a fan service movie.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about if how well it manages balancing that with actually telling a story and justifying its existence as a film as opposed to a cookie cutter video game plot.
Yeah.
But a lot of the fun that a lot of people are having, and that I think I had with this, is references, is Easter eggs and stuff.
Right.
And so we are going to talk about a lot of that stuff, because it's going to be impossible not to. And I don't think, I might be showing my hand here a little bit, but I don't think the movie is pretentious, or I should say presumptuous at all, about the fact that that's a lot of its big focus.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at this as a scavenger hunt movie. Like, on my first viewing, it was a lot of fun, just like pointing stuff out and seeing deep pull references and that sort of thing. It's not the like Star Trek 09 or Power Rangers 2017 thing of you're just adapting the kind of first episode of something and throwing in the big things that cultural osmosis everybody's familiar with.
Right.
It's much more a love letter to a franchise, partly made by the people that originally put the thing together in the first place.
Yeah.
So, Jayson, you want to give us a super brief plot synopsis?
Yeah.
Of the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Yeah, so...
It shouldn't be hard.
Shouldn't be. So, yeah, basically, Mario and Luigi are plumbers, and they are doing, like, a job, and they fall into a pipe, and then they accidentally, like, fall into different, like, sections of whatever, like, the pipe that, like, leads them to different places, and, so Luigi goes into, the Darklands, which Bowser controls, and so Luigi gets kidnapped by Bowser, and Mario goes to the Mushroom Kingdom and has to try to save him, with Peach and
Toad.
Toad, and Peach has to like ready Mario for like Bowser and stuff, and then
montage.
Yeah, and then Bowser, and so the big thing is they gotta rescue Peach, or I mean
they gotta rescue Luigi.
No, Luigi.
In this case, it's Luigi.
It is Luigi. Yes.
Yep. There is sort of a Peach kidnapping thing that happens later, but only. Well, anyway, we'll get into it later.
I didn't want to do the spoiler plot.
Too much spoiler.
I wanted to do the plot that everyone knows and not the spoiler plot.
Right.
Because I didn't want people to be like, oh, that's happening, and then the theater be like, yep, I knew about that.
Jason, why don't you do your sign flip first?
Okay.
Give us a best thing, a worst thing, and a sign flip. How did you feel about the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Yeah, I actually like this movie quite a lot. I think my best thing, I'm gonna say just references, mostly in music, and we covered music a little bit, but I mean, there
were a lot of background things you were excited about, though, particularly with, like, early Nintendo things.
Yeah, there's references everywhere. Like every 10 seconds, there's a reference. Be it in dialogue or music or like visual, like background or whatever. And I don't know. I really like that. And I just, me being me, I like to spot out lots of, things and go into research mode and just like try to spot as many things as I can.
Let me ask you this. Was that the only major novelty of it for you? Was it like, do you think somebody that is not super familiar with Mario beyond just maybe they played a game once or twice, or everybody knows what it is and what it looks like, and there's mushrooms and most people know what a Goomba is and that sort of thing, but do you think your average person, especially like kids that maybe haven't played a lot of Mario, would still have a lot of fun with this movie, or do you think it would maybe watch kind of generic and real cookie cutter?
Okay, so people older than, I want to say 12 or 13, like, would probably think it was more like generic and stuff.
Dismiss it as another kiddie film.
It's just it has Mario in it. It's a basic Mario plot. Okay,
Yeah.
They'll probably think it's fine, right? Kids, I feel like, would like this movie because it's Illumination and I've talked with a couple kids who have seen the movie, who saw the movie last week and did enjoy it. Even people like around my age, so and that know not that much about Mario. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I would how I would answer that question.
What is your, and that's a good answer, what is your worst thing?
Worst thing, I'm gonna say I don't wanna do what I'm pretty sure yours is gonna be. So I'm gonna say this movie is a little too fast paced. And I mean, it has a basic plot, which isn't a bad thing, especially for this movie, because it's just a big cutscene, and that's all I've wanted for every video game movie. So except Mortal Kombat.
Well, and of course, there's a lot of video game stories or a lot of video games that are more story driven.
Right.
And even stuff going back to 8 and 16-bit, there are things that are certainly more story driven than this, even outside of RPGs. But Mario is a very simple idea and simple character in the first place.
Yeah. I don't know.
So did you want it to be longer? Are there, do you feel like there are scenes, I don't want to say missing where it doesn't make sense, but are there scenes that missing in the sense that you would have liked to have spent more time with certain characters and more time in certain areas?
So,
because I know when we walked out, one of your complaints was, well, here's all these cool worlds you set up. Why didn't we get to spend any time in any of them?
Couple things that I mean by too fast-paced. One, and I think this is the more minor thing, there are jokes that they did that are, you know, they're your obligatory Illumination jokes. Not obligatory, but they're...
No, I'm with you.
You know...
I agree with obligatory. Stay on that, yeah.
I'm glad... Like... Fine, they're in the movie. Like, I'll just do an example. And this is in the trailers. The line with the toads that are like...
We're too cute to die.
We're so adorable. In the trailer, the music, like, stops. And they're like, we're adorable! And then it's, like, freezes for a couple seconds. And, like, that joke is so throwaway in the movie, you can barely hear them over the music, which is, like, really good, but, like, there's just so much orchestral stuff, and then Peach just starts talking, like, directly after that.
Yeah.
And then they cut out the...
Oh, so you're saying it's rushing.
It's rushing.
You're saying, so it's an editing problem.
Yeah, and that's, like, the minor reason why I'm saying that, but it is a main reason. Another thing is they took out the scene with the Cheep Cheeps.
I noticed that too.
They took out part of that, and it's
like in the trailer, he's fighting with one.
Yeah,
when it hits him in the face because we're kind of making fun of the 2D levels where you get hit by Cheep Cheeps. Yeah,
in the movie, it just hits him in the face, and then it just cuts to black. The main reason why I said it's too, like, okay, I guess I do want it to be a little bit longer because I wish they went to different kingdoms because Bowser is, like, you know, taking over each one, or, you know, I wish he got different stars and they would have to get all the stars.
Yeah.
But instead there's one star, and, you know, we'll get into all that later, but I just wish there was a little bit more of them, like, kingdom hopping and stuff. And also I just wish it was more slow-paced. Like, there's just, like, they
You mean downtime.
Mario,
right?
Yeah, and Mario goes into the Mushroom Kingdom in, like, 10 minutes. And
I like that we don't waste too much time with that, but once you're there, I think you could slow it down a little bit.
and I will talk a little bit more about that, you know, actual scenes and stuff that aren't in the trailers when we get to spoilers and stuff, but yeah.
Okay, this is a thing that I'm a little conflicted about, and so since we're there, I want to ask you about this.
Yeah.
At the same time as you're saying it's... you know, it'd be nice if we slowed things down, and for me, gave certain characters more screen time. Yeah. Which you didn't talk about, but that's part of my issue with it. Yeah. Do you think,
especially Bowser and Luigi and stuff,
what would be your strategy for changing the pacing of it? Would it be cutting out certain things that you feel like are kind of extraneous, or would it be lengthening the film? Because where I'm conflicted is it's such a simple story, and Mario is such a simple idea with a very like complex with a lot of complex world building. Or I shouldn't even say complex, but just a whole lot of stuff in the world, right? The depth is in the creativity of all of the creatures and the landscapes and stuff in Mario, right? So you want to represent as much of that stuff as humanly possible. But at the same time, I can't decide if the answer is just let the movie be longer, because I feel like 90 minutes is kind of right for the story we're telling.
Right.
So that's where I'm conflicted.
With
that, because there's a part of me that, like, I thought it was done too fast, which is something of a testament to the movie because I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
But should this be an hour 45? Should it be? I think 2 hours would really be pushing it. This material.
I don't want a 2-hour Mario movie. I think, and this is something that I will give the '93 Mario movie credit, is I think that movie is a good time. I mean, okay, it's boring as heck, and there's no plot.
When he says good time,
But
he means the length is right.
Yeah,
Not that he had a good time watching it.
No, yeah, but
and I like that movie more than you do, by the way.
Is an hour 45, and
is it?
I think, yeah, I looked it up for some reason, and the Illumination Mario movie, I feel like, even if you don't do the whole like Kingdom Hopping thing that I was talking about, like just lengthen a few scenes and let it be like 10 minutes longer.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think 10 minutes would have made a big difference.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about certain scenes that should have been longer.
Boy, what a great point though.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and flip your sign.
Yeah, I am going to say I am feeling it.
So
yeah, it was definitely a fun experience.
I feel like, and I'll go ahead and get to my sign flip in a second. I feel like maybe you and I had the same experience, Jason, in that we both seem more critical after a second viewing.
Yeah.
And you seemed real sucked in and kind of awestruck and just, taking in again all the references, all the stuff that you're familiar with. It's one of those, again, dense scavenger hunt things where it's just so much fun going, oh, and I know what that is, and I know what that is. And then knowing that you missed something, it'll be fun to go back and see it a second time for all of that. I wasn't as focused on that stuff the second time around, of course, and maybe some of the scenes were showing a little bit more there. Like, we might have been a little bit more, like, I mean, I enjoyed this movie, don't get me wrong. We probably, if we'd done a just right out of the theater review, would have been real glowing and would have had a hard time thinking of things to complain about.
Yeah.
I have to tell you guys, this is a movie I don't want to be critical of. And it's the job, and I'm always, critical thinking guy, and I don't mean to say that I ever turn my brain off watching a movie, or that I do that intentionally. However, sometimes you're letting a movie wash over you, and it's hitting you in a, like, kind of, if it's sort of a nostalgic place, and yes, you can complain that this is something of a nostalgia bait movie. I think it's okay to make a quote-unquote fan service movie if you make it real clear that that's your goal, and if you're not being emotional and manipulative and pretending like there's any more to it than there is. My go-to example for this for the last couple of years has been Batman vs. Ninja Turtles, which is not a real complex character-driven story or anything, but it's creative and has a lot of fun with it and has a lot of reverence for both of those properties, and there's just no pretension. It is what it is, and and this very much has that, at least for the most part.
Yeah.
So anyway, so like I said, I'm having a difficult time wanting to be super critical of this because I just thoroughly enjoyed myself first time around and got to see a lot of things that I never, thought I would necessarily see on a big screen. Years and years ago, Jason, I had this kind of like, this is going to sound apocryphal or something. I had this sort of vision in my head of what a Super Mario Brothers movie would look like, where a lot of us that grew up with the original, which tried to have its own unique take on the material, where it's like translating it for not just the audience that are fans of Mario, that are fans of that material, but is trying to like reimagine it in some way.
Yeah.
It's cool that we got that, and that could have been a better movie, certainly, but there are things that I certainly like and respect about that movie. I'm glad we have both now.
Yeah.
But the look of this is just exactly what I imagined. The big thing I always had in my head was just the landscape of tons and tons of Mushroom Kingdom. Like, hills stacked up on top of each other, the castle at the top, question mark blocks everywhere.
Yeah.
How much fun could you have in that environment on the big screen?
Right.
And that's what it is. That's what it looks like. And I mean, and I don't mean I got close. I mean, it's precisely what I imagined. Now, I also imagine that because I've seen that in the games, and as you said pretty eloquently, this is just a 90-minute cutscene, and that's what was sold to us in the advertising, and that is what we got, and that's all it really needed to be for me. The big question I find myself asking a bunch, and just because it's interesting to me, not that I think it's even that important to have an answer to it, is does this movie justify its own existence? And the reason I say that is because if you have, keep in mind that Miyamoto is heavily involved in this project.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of critics are not understanding what the movie is trying to do, let alone trying to decide if it's achieving that, which is what I think the job really should be of a reviewer, is look at it on its own terms. Start with what is it, and I've said this a million times, guys, but start with what is it trying to achieve, does it manage that, and was that worth doing in the first place? Now, that third thing could be an issue for folks. Was it worth doing in the first place?
Right.
This is a movie, to me, that is basically a video game you don't play.
Right. Yeah.
But that's true to the spirit of Mario, is the thing. So, is there a story here? Yes. Is there a character arc here? Kind of. I mean, a little bit. Is it a real deep, engaging, thoughtful, change hearts and minds kind of story? No, it's not.
No.
Could you... I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions here. Could you tell a story like that in this world? Yes.
Yes.
Would, if you did it with Mario and you made him a super 3D, complex, unique individual, would he still be Mario?
No.
No.
He would not.
No, he wouldn't.
Nope.
And if you're not a Mario fan, and you go into this expecting that kind of a movie, you're maybe going to be disappointed. Now, you might be a Mario fan and you wanted this to be to be its own take like that, where it was more about like reinventing the material, but that's not what it was after. It doesn't want to reinvent the material, it just wants to be Mario. So, let's go to that third thing again.
Yeah.
What is the point of making a movie out of what is all about gameplay and all about putting the player in a somewhat intentionally vapid kind of box, kind of character? Like what is the point of doing that?
There is none. I mean, there's
sheer entertainment, getting to see it on the big screen. I feel like people need to experience this in a movie theater. Because at the point that you get it at home, however you're watching it, now it's like gameplay again. Or now it's like, cutscenes in between gameplay. There certainly is some adaptation here, but I feel like for the most part, this is not about adaptation.
No.
We're not adapting Mario, we're just presenting him as he's always been.
In theaters, yeah.
And this is the big difference between Mario and Sonic, and not just with the movies, but just with games for the last, couple of decades at this point.
Yeah.
Or longer, where Sonic keeps getting kind of reinvented, and we're trying to figure out what audiences like most want with that character. And with Mario, he's kind of always been one thing.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you get with this that you haven't really had before, at least in keeping it true to form, is vocal performances.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of my big philosophical question with this, is does the movie justify its own existence, given that it's, again, kind of about gameplay first, even though there is no gameplay. But it really does feel like that.
Yeah.
Do I care? No, not really. I mean, I had a really good time watching it. People ask this question with movies sometimes, like, was this necessary? And then some folks will always come back with, well, no movie is necessary. Yeah, we can quibble over semantics. But when people ask that, what they're really saying is, does it justify its existence? Is it wasting people's time? Yeah. Well, I didn't feel like my time was wasted.
Right. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun having this experience, but it did make me just want to run off and play Mario games.
Yeah.
You know? And I might have appreciated it even more if it felt like it added more to the lore.
Yeah.
As opposed to just kind of presented it again. And again, in some ways, I'll get to sign flip here in a second. I was going to do this later, but I'm glad I'm doing it now just to get it, out of the way. Because it's kind of this big question I've got. But I've lost my train of thought.
Oh.
But anyway, it's I don't know, it's a ton of fun. I mean, like, it justifies its existence in that it's an enjoyable time. But I guess what I was going to say is it'd be nice if it did give us a little bit more that maybe the games could build on, and then they could kind of go back and forth with each other a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it is a little bit confused. I'd say like maybe 80-20%. 80% it's just presenting the material as it's always been. 20% of it actually is this is what I was going to say, is closer to adaptation or to translation. And you can say, well, you have to do some of that for the big screen. I mean, for a story as opposed to a video game. But did you really have to simplify? There's a little bit of having its cake and eating it too, Jayson. We're simplifying things like you said, what a superstar is versus what the stars in Mario 64 are. And again, I don't want to get too bogged down in silly kind of like what people might think of as fanboy stuff, like lore stuff. But at the same time, it is kind of confusing to a fan of this material because some of it is, this is the way it's always been. Yeah. And it does lay out the rules pretty well and the weird Mario physics and all of that. But then there are some places where it goes, we got to change it for this simple 90-minute movie. And I'm like, okay, which is it though? So there's a little bit of that question. Obviously I'm feeling it. My best thing is Princess Peach. I never thought that I would look at a Mario thing and think, my favorite character is Princess Peach. But at the end of this movie, my favorite character was Princess Peach. She is so much fun. She's just great.
She's just fun, yeah.
All the way around. And I thought Anya Taylor-Joy voiced her really well. I thought she disappeared. I'm hearing some people say that they're distracted by her voice. I didn't have that. We'll talk about the voices because I was pretty impressed in general with how not taken out I was.
Yeah,
by voices.
I feel like all of the voices I wasn't like, maybe Bowser, but we'll get to it.
Okay. My worst thing is what you referred to as Illumination stuff.
Yep.
And in particular, popular music. Well, two things: popular music and slow motion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Popular music, slow motion. And popular music and slow motion while popular music is playing.
Yes. Which, I don't want to be a hypocrite. The Lego movie did that too, and I love that movie. But the problem is, hallmarks of a company that in general I don't appreciate their stuff, and I don't do this exactly, but like I all but boycotted when Minions came out. Yeah. Because I saw that and it kind of ticked me off. Yeah. And then I started seeing previews for things like Secret Life of Pets, which looked atrocious, and Sing, the sequel, which looked really awful. And then having kind of potty humor or just real childish humor in The Grinch. Yeah. And stuff like that. And these are movies that I didn't bother with because they looked awful. And when it was announced that Illumination was making this, I kind of wrote it off. I was like, okay, well, because I know what that's going to look like. Yeah. But I didn't realize how involved Nintendo was going to be. And this is a case where they're micromanaging it is exactly what needed to happen. Yeah. But let me open up for discussion now that I'm finished with my sign flip. Do you feel like there is too much, are we too much at loggerheads between these two companies? What I mean is, does it feel like they're at war with each other? Where Nintendo wants to make this movie, and Illumination wants to make this movie, and they've kind of put out a cohesive thing, but you can sort of see where conflicting voices are coming out. Because I had that a little bit, but not at all as much as I was worried I might.
Second viewing, I feel like I had that. So, okay. Yes and no. I feel like the first. So I feel like I don't know where my head's going. I feel like Illumination like kind of got some scenes and Nintendo got some scenes.
Yeah.
And like you can tell when it's a Nintendo scene and you can tell when it's an Illumination scene. Like
I think it's a little more mixed than that.
I feel like and there are definitely mixed scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
And but you can tell when it's an Illumination movie, and you can tell when Nintendo's like, yeah, we want this.
So did that take you out a lot?
More on the second viewing, but
Yeah,
it
same here.
didn't make me be like, oh, this is a terrible movie, you know? I mean, and I don't know.
First time out, I was so focused on, again, cool stuff in the background and what people were saying that was reminding me of things and referencing stuff and music and all of that, that I was not noticing as much of the illumination of it. And when I say that I don't want it to be too much like an Illumination movie, I just feel like their stuff is, and they weren't like this as much at the start. When you go back to like the first Despicable Me, but even then, there was a little bit of least common denominator, and they didn't take the risks in the story that they probably ought to have, particularly like in the third act of that movie, where it was a little bit too formulaic and obvious, some of the character choices and stuff. Yeah. But now it's real least common denominator, and I feel like they're basically holding up a sign for audiences that says "laugh now," and they've kind of condition people to find things funny that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. Look, humor is subjective, and if you find the kind of like pratfall stuff that they do and the goofy slow motion stuff where somebody's making like a weird face while they're in the middle of saying something, we slow that down. Like if you just, or potty humor, whatever, you might just inherently find some of that like less mature humor inherently funny, and I don't, and that's fine. But I do sometimes feel like watching their movies, and again, I haven't in a long time, but even with trailers for them, though, I'll be in a movie theater, and everyone around me will be laughing at something that nobody in my family finds funny, and I think that's weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't mean to be prudish in you know, like posh about it or whatever. I can choose to not watch them. But I'm really happy that there wasn't so much of that I just couldn't enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
And it stays away from the potty humor place entirely, which I really appreciate. There's one place where Mario turns and probably throws up, and that's it. And that's whatever. But I just feel like that company has they're not taking risks, and they're not like trying to think up anything new. They're comfortable. They go, we have these 3 jokes that everybody always laughs at, so let's just constantly recycle them. Yeah. I feel like they have about 3 music tracks that they just keep recycling.
They use
Did we
them
need
all.
Kill Bill again? Okay. Did we go to a Guardians song because Chris Pratt is in the movie? Is that why we did that? And then you said something that made me more annoyed about it, which is you said you heard a really great orchestral track that goes back to some great Major Mario stuff. No, and don't worry, there is a lot of that in the movie. Yeah. But you said that there's a really cool one they took out and put in old popular music.
So
I'm hitting my microphone.
So there's a part. Are we in spoilers now?
Let's officially, I need to get a sign for this.
Yeah.
Let's officially go to spoilers now. And feel free to ask questions about things that happen in the movie now. And feel free to write about anything you want to. And folks just need to know that if you've not seen the movie, we will spoil things and the commenters will spoil things. So if you don't want to know anything, leave and listen to the review later on after you've seen the film. Okay.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Go ahead.
We suggest watching the movie before watching this review.
You really got my inflections down there too.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of superhero ones. What were we talking about?
That music track you told me about.
So there's a part where they're going to see Donkey Kong or to see Cranky Kong, and they're doing the fun, Mario Kart scene with Super Kong. That's his name. And they're riding this cart, and it's Take On Me by Aha.
Yeah.
And it's just your obligatory, Take On Me scene. I feel like I don't know, I can't think of any movies other movies right off that have had that scene with that song, but I know there are.
Is it in? No, it definitely shows up constantly.
Yeah.
And I had the same thing, but I'm trying to remember where exactly. Like, that's not one that's in Deadpool, I don't think. Maybe it's in Ready Player One.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, it shows up all the time.
But they literally, and you should listen to it. It's pretty good. It's on YouTube. So, but they literally made a whole track. The composer made a track for that scene that has a bunch of Donkey Kong Country music in it that they took out and replaced with Aha.
That sucks, man. We get one.
We do get one.
We get one great Donkey Kong Country music moment.
Yeah.
Where we get the theme from the first game.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and go to Super Chats here in a second.
Yeah.
But I like to go ahead and hit things as we get to them in case we forget them later.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Donkey Kong Country of it all?
Yeah, sure.
For a minute.
I just want to kind of talk about the scene because there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, there are Mario goes to fight Donkey Kong. Obviously reference to Smash right off the bat.
Smash and the original Donkey Kong simultaneously. Like he has to fight Donkey Kong because
the platform that he's standing on is the Donkey Kong platform.
Yep.
Donkey Kong is of course throwing barrels, and I don't know. For some reason, I don't know why, but I did not catch this until the second viewing. Mario keeps swinging on vines.
Oh, I didn't
Donkey
think that
Kong
either.
Jr.
Yeah, that's great.
I didn't realize that until the second viewing, so I am glad that we watched it a second time. But yeah,
subtle stuff like that.
And then there are so many Donkey Kong characters in the background. I mean, there's just so many. From mainly 64, mainly Donkey Kong 64.
That must be why I didn't recognize him, because I've still never played that game.
And I've just seen them from like memes and wikis and stuff. And
did you feel like giving Diddy Kong a voice for one line was putting a pin in that?
Yeah.
Where they were like, "Don't worry, we will probably do something with him."
Yeah. And of course the DK rap.
Yeah, and people are already, or were at the beginning of the show writing comments and saying the best part was that they put that in there.
Have you heard that whole rap?
Not in a long time.
That is some of the worst stuff ever. It's not as bad as the Knuckles rap.
No, nothing is as bad as the Knuckles rap. But yeah, I'm Knuckles. I got my emerald. But but that is notorious.
Yeah. Oh,
like, it is lovingly notorious. People loved that rap because it's awful, and
and it's awful on purpose.
But it's just, if you're a fan of this, and again, we're gonna get real nerdy here. We're gonna get to the superficial stuff. If you're a fan of that character, and particularly the Donkey Kong Country days, and right after, that's just correct. It should be there, and it was. I mean, I think a lot of the reason people were so excited about it is it wasn't a given that like things apart from games would be there. Yeah. And stuff that like isn't just directly in levels would be there. Like people lost it when the commercial came out. Yeah. That the movie opens with, because I kind of wish I hadn't seen it in the first place, because I would have just lost it in the theater with the Mario rap. I guess it's all about raps. I guess people just really wanted to see the goofy bad Nintendo raps show up in the movie, and there they were, and it wasn't that wonderful.
And And I am glad that they like kind of made that commercial a bit different, and
That's true. They
from
did.
the Super Bowl commercial, and I am glad that they did that because
The marketing with this movie was
still
genius,
funny.
but I do feel like I saw a little too much of the movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
I
have that.
still think that. Yeah, and
Most of it's from the first like 15, 20 minutes. So I will give them that. I don't think I saw too much from like the end.
So, okay, so I got spoiled a lot.
Oh yeah.
I got spoiled about Peaches, and I got spoiled about the DK rap, and
That sucks.
I did not get spoiled about the wedding though. So that made me
I saw you lose it.
I
in the
was
theater.
like, what?
So, on the way to the theater, Jason and I were speculating really hard, and Freddie too. And by the way, Freddie, our 8-year-old, who's also a big Mario fan, and doesn't know as much about Mario as Jason, but is much better at Mario than anyone I know. And Freddie, was walked out saying this was the best movie he'd ever seen. And we were all speculating about what things from particular games they were most likely to use and what games we thought they would use most heavily. And one of my big questions going in was how much Odyssey will be in this movie, because that's the most recent, major mainline game, and it just feels like a lot of the aesthetic stuff in that game is already really iconic, and you can do a lot of cool things with it. I didn't expect the plot of the movie to basically be an adaptation of that, especially because we have an origin for Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom, and Bowser's plot is the one he has in Odyssey. Like 35 years later.
Yeah.
It was great. You got the white wedding hat.
It was,
and the white wedding.
White wedding.
He's got the hat and he's got his bouquet of piranha plant flowers.
Yep. I really wanted Mario to be in his tuxedo though.
I don't know how you would have contrived that.
I don't know.
I mean, you got Peach in her dress, so that was cool.
Yeah. I also wanted.
She has a lot of outfit changes.
I also wanted Mario in the peach dress, but we didn't get that. Because you can do that in Mario Odyssey. That didn't happen.
There's so much stuff I want to talk about. I'm sorry, guys. We'll get to super chats in a second. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me just say I appreciated and was kind of floored by how much Donkey Kong Country was here.
Yeah.
Because I'm a giant fan of that series, and that's the original is kind of my favorite platformer of all time.
Yeah.
And even over Mario World, which is probably my other one. And I knew there was going to be a little bit, because we did have Donkey Kong in the trailers with his tie.
Yeah.
But I didn't know just how much we were going to have.
And I knew we were going to have a lot of 64 because I saw a bunch of Kongs in the background. But I didn't realize how much,
It felt to me like almost a Mario Donkey Kong Country crossover movie.
Yeah.
To some degree. And I love that. I wish there was, again, more music, and it would be cool if Diddy Kong and Ditsy Kong got to do something, but that would be maybe a little bit. Although, get them on carts and let us see them do cool stuff on carts. We could have done that. They didn't really do that.
I think they did.
Okay.
Very in the background.
I missed it then. They didn't put them in the foreground.
Also, you keep calling her Ditsy Kong.
She's Ditsy Kong. No, when I was growing up, she was Ditsy Kong. I always forget her name was actually Dixie Kong. My apologies to Dixie Kong. I don't mean to say that she is a ditz. But she is blowing bubbles, which when I was a kid was a major stereotype for ditzy girls. Yeah. Anyway, how did you feel about using the Kongs as our gateway into Mario Kart? That's just a big thing in their culture. They're all riding around on Mario Karts all day. I don't know. I kind of loved that.
I thought it was funny because, Donkey Kong has always been the main not Mario character. I mean, he is a Mario character, I guess, but he's really the main not Mario character from Mario Kart. it's a technical, because I guess Donkey Kong Country is a spin-off of the Mario series, but yeah.
It's really complicated.
It's really
It's
complicated.
a dog chasing its tail, right? Because Mario is more of a spin-off of Donkey Kong.
Right.
Because the game is called Donkey Kong, but the guy you play as is Mario, but he wasn't even called that initially. And then he gets his own game,
Right.
which you can technically consider a spin-off of that. But then Donkey Kong Country feels like a spin-off of Mario, more so, well, sort of. I guess just because the Mario platformers were more popular, so now we gotta make it a platformer.
Yeah.
Like, that always made it so it's a dog chasing its tail.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. What? You're not a dog.
I'm just, no, I just mean I'm going in circles with this right now.
Oh, yeah, you are doing this.
That's true. Okay, so many things we
Let's-
could talk about.
let's
Let's
go
do
to
the
super
super
chats.
chats. Yeah. So Tom just put in a $2 super chat to sing Peaches, 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 and our audience both times lost it at that. It seemed like kind of the obvious Jack Black thing to do to me, but I'm not going to deny that it was really funny.
And he made a really funny music video.
It's
Which-
wonderful.
Did you finally see it?
I did, and I love the ending of it.
Yeah, he literally dies, and then they just go cut, and then he's like,
Yeah, the ending of it.
"I'm okay."
You just get the director wrapping the video, like wrapping up on the video.
Yeah.
It's great.
And they
And
made
the set they built is awesome.
They made a behind the scenes too.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
It's pretty cool.
So I'm a huge Jack Black fan,
Yeah,
and
I feel like Bowser was the only thing where I was kind of distracted by who it was, but in a good way.
here's what's shocking to me. I wasn't.
Yeah.
And felt like I should have been, because I'm obviously very familiar with his voice, and I've also seen him do voice acting, because he's Kung Fu Panda, which we've seen. And
I forgot he was Kung Fu Panda.
yeah, and that is just him doing Jack Black. I
Right.
think he's actually doing a Bowser voice.
Yeah, he is.
And it's one of those things where if I didn't know it was Jack Black going in, after a few lines I would go, oh, that's Jack Black. But I wasn't thinking, boy, I sure wish this sounded like Bowser. Like, it was Jack Black, but it was like Jack Black's doing a Bowser. Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like Bowser.
Yeah.
If he's going to have a speaking voice. Because a lot of this is, we got to give everybody speaking voices. And some of them haven't had them or haven't spoken in complete sentences very much.
Yeah.
You know? By the way, I love the excuse to get Peach to finally go, Mario!
That was really funny.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It's a me.
even when he's singing, I kept having this disconnect where I'm like, I know this is Jack Black and I can tell it's Jack Black.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing Bowser. I was never seeing Jack Black. I really, I wasn't
and it is
remotely distracted by
feels
that.
like Bowser. Yeah.
You know what's even more shocking?
Yeah.
I wasn't taken out by Seth Rogen, and he sounds like Seth Rogen.
He does
Don't
sound
get
like
me wrong,
Seth Rogen.
but he didn't do a character.
No,
but he made the
didn't.
character work.
Yeah, he did. And
I'm fine with that being Donkey Kong's voice now.
And-
Even if he came in and did them in games, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to suddenly have a bunch of voiceover cutscenes in Mario games, but I'm just saying.
and I want I feel like my favorite one of my favorite scenes was just the fight, and mainly him looking at Mario when he's super tiny and doing the Seth Rogen laugh, because I thought that was really funny, just how that was animated.
Yeah.
Because he's like
And it worked for the character.
yeah, it did.
What's funny is I don't know where the production's heart is when it does stuff like that. Like if it's just capitalizing on memes and stuff, but for the sake of the project, whether it was accidental or not, it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
How did you feel, since we're in voices now, how did you feel about Anya Taylor-Joy? Because I know you're not super familiar with her.
I am not.
She just sounded
She's
right
great.
to me. I don't know.
I don't know. She's great.
A lot of range, I thought,
Yeah.
with that performance. And then I think a lot of people are shocked by Chris Pratt. Because he
by Pratt,
completely
yeah.
disappears to me.
He
completely disappears.
Completely disappears. Yeah.
And again, it's the same thing as with Jack Black, where it's like, I mean, I recognize his voice.
yeah.
But he's doing something with it. And to his credit, he said early on, nobody worry, like I'm doing a thing.
Yeah.
It's gonna make sense for the character.
And it did. Yeah. Do you know Keegan-Michael Key from anything? Or Charlie Day or any
Yes.
of the other cuz I really only knew like 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
Like, there were they were familiar names, but I was like...
But none of their voices really stood out to me.
Yeah.
And the one that I'm most shocked by, and we talked about this after we saw it today, is Kevin Michael Richardson. Because, like, I knew he could do voices, but he's completely gone.
He's known for having a very deep voice.
Super deep voice. I don't know how he's even...
And he's Kamek.
How's he doing that?
And while we're on the topic of Kamek, that is...
I'm sorry, did you say mechanic?
No, Kamek.
I'm sorry, what was that about a hammock?
No, Kamek.
Okay, Kamek.
So the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, cool, Kamek, you know. I mean, I knew the Kamek was... Second time, I just kept getting distracted by sound effects.
That was the thing I was most excited about. It's just that the Mario World sound effect is there.
And it was really... And what was really funny is... We had the super intense theme and super intense scene with Mario, or not with Mario, with Bowser walking up and, you know, just demolishing this building. And
you just get
and you know, you got the Fury Bowser song and stuff. And it's like
crazy
Dawn!
That was there.
And well, I mean, taste of our fury.
Yeah.
But, and then you just get
Well, that's the thing that that this movie gets right, that things like the Sonic movies aren't doing properly, I think, which is just embracing the material, just presenting it for what it is. It kind of doesn't matter in the long run that critics are hating this movie. And I don't want to do the whole it's not for them thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, like, if they don't already appreciate this character, or if they're just putting in a box and saying this is what movies have to be, you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna enjoy it. You're not gonna appreciate it. And it might not be for everybody, and that's okay. Yeah. You know, the nice thing about Mario is that it's so. I just think it's better to err on the side of being true to the spirit of what it is.
Yeah. And
playing by your own rules if you've gotta. And right? Yeah. And as long as you're not pretending like you're a full-on traditional narrative and I'm supposed to be crying at the end because I've had this like super powerful experience. You know what this and it's not doing that. Right. It is again, I keep using the word justification. It is justifying itself as a movie well enough in having the bare bones semblance of a story and a character arc without, again, manipulating emotions, or at least I didn't feel like mine were, and pretending like it's really about any more than just underdog story.
Yeah.
Very basic hero's journey, reluctant hero, who, not even reluctant so much as just like guy that's not entirely sure of himself.
Yeah.
But insists on always getting up when he gets knocked down and doing the right thing, versus bully who tries to force the world to be whatever he wants it to.
Yeah.
That's as far as it goes about being about anything. Isn't that what Mario's about? Isn't that what it's about in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. I did cry a little bit, just because I'm a huge Mario fan. Because of
I teared up in that way.
Eel.
Sure, but you know what? I know that was awesome, but and we'll talk about that. But you know what I appreciated?
Yeah.
I appreciated that I didn't get to the end of the movie and we pretended like Mario was dead, and then he has to like get resurrected in 5 seconds, and which the sort of thing that we keep doing.
We cannot stop.
And Sonic did it too.
Doing it. I mean, literally,
I appreciated that.
The last movie before Mario that I saw in the theater did it.
Yeah.
Like,
wait, what was that?
It's Shazam 2.
Shazam 2 does it! That's true! Spoilers for Shazam 2, nobody cares. Jayson, the eel, shocked me. That was super cool.
Shocked me. I was very excited. I think I can't remember, but I think I also cried at the babies. Just 'cause...
You didn't expect that image.
I wasn't expecting it, and I was like, Yes, baby.
Okay, Tom has another $5 super chat. We've got quite a few. We'll blow through these. And I don't mean we'll rush them, but we need to start getting to these. He says, I have 2 different boards. We used to, what he means is early on with this show, we used to write down how we felt about it. We haven't done that in a long time. Board 1, this movie made me feel like I want to get a bowl of cereal, and all I got was a big bowl of sugar. And board 2, this is in a second super chat, this movie made me feel like this was what the people making the 80s live-action movie thought they were making. Lukewarm, I'm feeling it. I agree with that first thing, and that's also fine. You know what I mean? When he says that it's kind of all sugar and not a lot of substance, it's just playing by its own rules.
Yeah.
I think it gets ahead of it, and like at the beginning gives you a real good sense of tone.
Yeah.
And says it's a feel-good movie. You know what else it is, though? I'm going to say this earlier. It watches kind of like a parody.
Yeah.
And you can say that Illumination movies are that in general, and that's part of the problem with them, is that it's too much self-parody, it's too much self-aware humor. It works to at least some degree with this. There are places where it does have that problem, but I feel like what it's making fun of, Jayson, is the very idea. Am I reading too much into this? I might be reading too much into this, but I had this thought the second time I saw it. I feel like what it's a parody of, or what it's making fun of, is the ridiculous notion of this being a story.
Yeah.
But it's a movie, so we got to figure out a way to do it.
Yep.
And so it's making fun of all these like gameplay situations.
yeah, especially
that are
that
very
scene.
silly to try to put into a narrative.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
about
especially
it.
that scene with Mario doing the platformer. It's just a new person playing Mario for the first time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's you and me and everybody the first time they played Mario 1 or Mario 3.
Yeah. Now that we are real quick.
Yeah.
Now that we are into spoilers, I want to talk about a couple specific scenes of why I wish it was more slowed down of a movie.
Yeah.
And not just super quick of a movie. The main scene is Mario meeting Peach. That rushed by so fast for me, and I was like, say stuff. Like, you're just like, princess! And then you're like, oh, I gotta save my brother. Okay, let's see what you're made of. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you can tell scenes that were super cut down.
Yeah.
This had 4 more pages at one point.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. And there were also just like I was saying, just a lot of stuff that was cut from the trailers, which I thought was kind of weird.
I don't, Tom, with respect, agree at all about your second point there. That it's what the people making the 80s live action movie thought they were making. No, what they were trying to make was they were trying to take the iconography and like or some of it, the basic skeleton of Mario, and turn it into force it into the very popular dystopian science fiction mode that was going on in the early 90s.
I looked up at some point like a couple of weeks ago, like the story of that movie.
Yeah.
And the director, I can't remember that guy's name for the life of me, but the guy
they were co-directors.
Yeah, but like the guys who made it basically just wanted to they wanted to make a Mario movie. They wanted to make a Mario movie that had the comedic elements of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted. And then they wanted to maybe sprinkle some like Terminator or whatever into that. Like not Terminator, but like science fiction, whatever into that.
Yeah.
And
specifically Blade Runner, but yeah.
Yeah.
And that stuff was in vogue right then because of how popular Batman was, and Batman went back to partly because of Batman, and Batman went back to the kind of noir aesthetics of Blade Runner.
Honestly, I think they nailed that. Why does it have to be Mario? It's my big problem with that movie is,
and I don't want to talk about this for too long.
It would be such a fine movie. Like it would be fine. Like the story is meh. It's fine. But why is it Mario? It could be literally anything else. It could be a completely new characters and stuff. Like it doesn't have anything to do with Mario. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't full on agree with that, but I've set my piece on that movie. Yeah. Bob the Hun, $2 super chat. Thoughts on the controversy with Peach and Bowser? Some people thought there were creepy undertones with Bowser and Peach, and I think he said after that something about like people thinking that Bowser was too. Sorry for saying this in front of you, Jayson, but quote unquote rapey. I never understand. With respect to everybody, that sort of criticism of bad guy plots, like he's the bad guy. I don't know, like like I get that it's a kids movie, but also some of this is just baked into like I don't think we need to overthink this. Are you with me on this?
Yeah.
I don't think we need to think too much about, oh, Bowser wants to marry Princess Peach, and he's a giant dinosaur, and she's a human woman, and he's a bad guy. He needs a motivation, and I found the idea of him just being in love with her, and all of his like emotional insecurities and turning into a love triangle and all of that.
Yeah.
Like really amusing.
Yeah.
And it's about the absurdity of it.
Yeah.
And that works on a G level a kids movie until you start really overthinking it, and there's not anything in that movie, in my opinion, to suggest that it is cynical or mean-spirited or about any of that, or would be like on at the very least would be like on Bowser's side, or thinks it's funny to like, oh, Bowser is gonna do something horrible with Princess Peach, like, and she's got plenty of agency, and she's gonna be fine on her own. And also, I also don't have a problem, by the way, with a male protagonist that saves a female character. That does not make the movie or that character sexist. She can still be a strong character, and he can still do that. Yeah. Clearly, the movie. I'll just say this real quick about this, and then I'll leave it. But clearly, there was a concerted effort. It seems like maybe the first thing that was maybe said in the writer's room with this movie was, it can't be damsel in distress plot, right. And she's got to be a warrior, and she's got to be able to like fight for herself. We can't even let Princess Peach full on, actually, to something I alluded to earlier, get kidnapped. Yeah. And need Mario to come in and save her. She's got to have a plan. She's got to have a power up at the ready. She's got to be able to fight him herself. You know what though? I actually don't mind that at all.
I actually didn't mind that in this movie.
Yeah, that works.
And I mean,
that's not. And once again, just in case anybody misunderstands me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I got to make sure that people get where I'm coming from.
Right.
This is not me saying that I miss the days where and like this was not, even as I was growing up, wholly true, but this is not me saying I miss the days where women needed saving and men were always the heroes, and that like Sarah Connor was was an anomaly, or Buffy was an anomaly. I don't mean that. But what I am saying is sometimes I think we have created kind of new cliches in trying really hard to like never let it happen. We're like, these two things can both be true. We don't have to be extreme about these things. A man can save a woman, and the woman can still be a strong, independent character who can look out for herself. Sometimes the man's going to need saving. Sometimes the woman's going to need saving. By saying that a woman does not ever need help from anybody is unrealistic, you know? Yeah. But I don't think this movie has really that problem. I just feel like it's going out of its way quite a bit to make sure it doesn't look like it has that problem. Yeah. But also, she has not been a straight-up damsel in a long time. I mean, there are games where she is, but what I mean is she's been playable in a lot of games. She fights things in games.
Yeah. And I think the last time she was damsel in distress was Origami King, Paper Mario, I think.
Because she is an Odyssey.
She's a damsel in distress in that game, and yeah. Well, and that came. I don't think there's been a game since that, not counting like compilations and stuff. But I think Paper Mario was like 2020, 2021. So yeah.
Yeah. Because that's just always been the basic foundation for this stuff.
Right.
Again, you have a basic hero who needs a motivation and something or someone to save.
Yeah.
That's it. We don't have to overthink this.
Yeah. And video games don't really need that complicated of a plot. And,
At least if they're not narrative-driven things in the first place.
Right. Yeah. And if you're going to make a movie based off of the video game, I don't think it needs to be that plot-driven. And I don't think it needs to be that, big of a plot.
Yeah. John Ty, $5 super chat. What do you think about the discrepancy between the audience and critics' reactions to this film?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, and if you are a Mario fan, do not listen to the critics, because they are not. And that's
not fair. Some of them might be, and like I said, some of them might just want a translation that is more character-focused and actually turns Mario into something a great deal more complex.
Yeah.
But when you've got, and I don't mean to repeat myself too much, but especially when you have the creator of the character working on the project, you just cannot expect that. And if it's not what you want, it's not what you like, that's fine. But if he's there, you're not going to get that movie. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's his baby. He doesn't want that to happen to this character. And whether you agree with it or not, and I do agree with this, but in his mind, if you do that to Mario, he is no longer Mario.
Yeah.
And what you would end up with is a franchise of games where people would now be thinking about this much more specific, unique character that they cannot imagine themselves as easily in place of. And that was always the point of Mario.
Yep.
So again, does the movie justify its own existence? It's really weird to make that into a movie. We can have that conversation.
Yeah.
But I feel like, for the most part, critics are just not taking it on its own terms.
Yeah, and
it may not be what you want, but I don't think some of these guys just understand what it is. What it is,
yeah. But I think it is still worth watching and stuff, and I don't know.
And that's not me saying it's a perfect movie. And there is certainly more Illumination stuff in it than I want. I wonder how much of that is a reflection on Illumination. Everything is relative. How much of this is critics that are sick of sitting through that formula, and they feel like they saw it again? And the problem is, Mario just happens to already be more or less that formula.
Right.
As far as just the basic kids movie kind of hero-driven formula.
Yeah.
But this time around, it's not as... It doesn't have the potty humor. It's not as raunchy. That kind of stuff. Like, this feels like more early Illumination to me.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of easier for me to stomach. I will go on record to say I am very concerned about the success of this movie and Illumination getting their hands on other Nintendo properties.
Yeah.
Because in a perfect world, I would love to see a lot of their properties get the animation treatment. But do I want Illumination to be the company that does that? Because it worked okay here.
Yeah.
But is that what you want for Metroid? Is that what you want for Zelda? Well, I don't think so. The hope would be that they could even get a little bit more out of the way. And I'm hearing some people say, well, I hate that Nintendo has to micromanage so much. But if they didn't, you would get something closer to a Sing or a Grinch or something.
Yeah, you would get Despicable Mario. I could not say that with a straight face.
That was great. Did you just came up with that?
Yeah.
That was great.
So, we still haven't gotten most of the super chats, and we still haven't talked about most of the references and stuff.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot to do, and sorry that we're so far past an hour already.
Yeah.
But do you want to take a break, or are you good just sticking around and continuing?
I'm good just sticking around and continuing, yeah.
Okay. Let me know if you want a break.
Okay, yep.
We'll try not to be here all night, but we've got a lot more to do. Go ahead.
I do want us to get back to super chats, but real quick, can we talk about Martinet cameos?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Charles Martinet, who is of course the voice of Mario, plays two characters in this movie. He plays Mario's dad, who and I mean, Martinet is a great actor and a great voice actor, and with Mario's dad, he's just being himself. Like, he's not even doing a voice, he's just being Martinet, but like being dramatic, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great, because I've never heard him do that, and I've heard him in interviews, so I know what he sounds like.
Yeah, and then he also plays this character called Giuseppe, which is a reference to memes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So this is a reference. So that's a reference to like ROM hacks, where Giuseppe is Mario's brother, like third brother, Mario and Luigi's other brother, who is like their older brother and is like bald and stuff.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
And it's really weird. And
can I tell you that I'm shocked by that.
Yeah.
That Nintendo would reference a ROM hack thing in a movie.
Yep.
Because they notoriously hate it when anybody does anything with their material. Like, they don't like... They can't possibly like ROM hacks. They don't like ROMs. Like... Right. That's shocking to me.
Yeah.
They've shut down so many awesome projects that people weren't even making money on just because it was their IP.
Yeah.
Like the most famous one I think is the Mario 64 remastered project.
Yeah.
They were just showing gameplay of something somebody was working on. They weren't even selling it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to get too mired in that, but it shocks me that they referenced ROM hacks in their movie.
Yeah. But yeah, this other character is this like a guy who's dressed like Mario, but with like a painter hat and stuff. I don't know, but he's playing Donkey Kong, Jumpman in this case.
Jumpman, yeah.
But he's playing Jumpman, and he's like, "Oh, that commercial was super good," and he's like doing his Mario voice. And yeah, I really liked that.
I thought it was classy.
I thought that was classy. I really liked everything they did with Martinet, and
he got to do his Mario voice a little bit.
And he got to do his Mario voice a little bit, and he got to be a little dramatic, and I didn't expect him to play two characters. And yeah, I was really glad that he was able to do something with that.
Yeah, I thought the choice... I thought the idea to try to contrive a way for Chris Pratt to come up with his own Mario voice that wasn't insanely over the top and still get the Martinet thing in there was actually really creative.
Yeah.
They're like, well, he's going to do an Italian stereotype on his commercial.
Yeah. And I'm also glad that that Pratt did an Italian voice for like 2 seconds.
It sounds good.
I think it sounds good. I think it sounds fun. And
it's close enough.
And it lets you know that if he was doing an Italian voice the entire movie, you would have not liked that movie, and it would be the most annoying thing ever. So. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also kind of a tiptoeing thing where they're like, well, do we really want to... You know, people are so sensitive, and there's so much concern about being politically correct these days, and I think we're certainly overly sensitive. I think it's a big problem, but you can see why the movie might be thinking, or why Illumination and Nintendo might be thinking, well, we don't want to just do a stereotype the whole time.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's going to upset people. That's going to offend somebody.
Right.
They didn't seem to be worried, though, about doing it with Cranky Kong, who's basically just a Jewish stereotype. Okay, so getting into this kind of superficial stuff, can I throw out the couple of things that I was, just as a Mario fan, most disappointed with?
Yeah.
Didn't like Cranky Kong.
Yeah.
Didn't care for his voice. he was the biggest departure of anything in this movie. And like I said earlier, it's having its cake and eating it too, where most of the time it is not adaptation, but occasionally it takes these weird licenses. I don't actually know, and I'm overthinking it. I don't know if this is in continuity with Mario games, because it's so close. You know what I mean? I'm like, is this... Can we take this as like definitive Mario origin now?
Yeah.
Or is this its own universe slightly removed? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's not important. But I get taken out occasionally by things like that where I'm like, well, that is clearly Diddy Kong. That is clearly Dixie Kong.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong's got a Seth Rogen voice, but he's Donkey Kong. What the heck is your Cranky Kong? Your Cranky Kong is weird.
Yeah.
Then I get that, like, he can't be original Donkey Kong who fought Mario because he hasn't fought Mario yet. So I guess in that way it can't be in continuity with that stuff. And again, it's not important, but...
Yeah. My biggest disappointment was not as much 64 as I wanted.
You got the
not
eel!
As much. I got the eel. I'm glad that I got the eel. They don't go around looking for Power Stars. There's no Locatus in sight anywhere.
Where are the Locatus?
They're filming the movie.
That's great. That's
probably
great.
not.
Probably not. Probably not. That's the best excuse I've ever heard for anything, though. You didn't see Locatus, they're making the movie. You know what they're doing? You know what the Locatus are doing? They're floating. This is the nerdiest thing. And I realize it's this channel, but this is one of the nerdiest things we've done in a long time. The Locatus are going around with N64 controllers, and they're controlling the cameras with the yellow camera buttons.
Yeah,
that's how they're making the film.
Yeah, no.
What do you think of the Locatus cinematography in this film? I think they did okay.
Yeah, I think they did okay.
I did.
But he...
That's genius, by the way.
And, not that much music. I mean, they got a little bit Bomb on Battlefield, and they got a little bit of... They got the Peach's Castle. I'm very glad that they got that.
And real epic and operatic about it, too, when the castle is first introduced.
What I really wanted with the castle was first introduced is Lakitu with his camera.
Yeah.
The camera going around and going and this would have sounded awesome. And it just going da na 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 na.
Sure.
Na, na, na,
that would have been
na,
a good introduction.
That would have
been
been so cool.
I felt like in a lot of places the music was, I don't want to say lip service because it's integrated really well in a lot of places. Sometimes it was actually a little too subtle for my taste, but I think some of that is just because I was looking for it, and that's a lot of my favorite stuff in Mario games. But like I did like, this is going to be, entirely subjective, but like I really appreciated the way the Donkey Kong Country theme was used.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to have a whole sequence with it. I liked the Rainbow Road Mario 64 theme, the way that's integrated in the orchestra, but then it could have gone on longer. It would have been nice to have more of that. Yeah. And then as far as 64 music, I called going in that we would, and I was wrong about this, that we would get some Road to Bowser. I thought it was kind of a mistake not to have that.
I called Dire Dire Docks, and I was wrong about that, too, which is weird, I think, but...
I'm not totally sure where you'd put it, because there's not any... I had that, too. I would have loved Dire Dire Docks.
Yeah.
But how do you put it in there? There's no, soothing water places. Whenever we're in the water, it's actually dire,
Yeah.
How'd you get it in there? Mario is saving Donkey Kong from an eel, and you just get da 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 da.
Yeah, that's true. So
just this lush piano music comes in. Da 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 da.
What was your favorite music placement in the movie?
Oh boy, I was really excited about the two of the big ones were certainly Donkey Kong Country and the Mario Kart Rainbow Road.
Yeah. I was very excited about the Mario Kart 8 character selection.
That was wonderful.
Was wonderful. I saw some comments in some videos that people teared up about that.
That was neat.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Because you just don't expect it. You were freaking out about the Toad Treasure music.
Oh man,
that was cool.
Yeah. So
as soon as you hear the whistles, I just knew you were gonna lose it. When I heard like da 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 da, I was like, okay, Jason's out. That's gonna be a big deal.
And then I freaked out in the credits where they're doing the da no 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 da 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 da, and I'm like, what? They're still doing Captain Toad stuff.
One of the coolest things actually to me was Bowser at the piano.
Doing the do 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 do,
making Kamek jam with him.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty great.
That was really cool.
A lot of reverence for all that music. Maybe the biggest one actually was just all the stuff in the credits at the end, particularly the Galaxy music that I let in with.
Yeah,
because that's one of my favorite themes of all time. It was really cool to get that, and I just appreciate how much reverence it has for a lot of Mario games and blending it all as much as humanly possible. Like, I got stoked every time there was anything Mario World, and the overworld theme shows up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because it's so iconic.
Yeah.
And, like, that's there as much or more than Mario 3.
Yeah. My favorite part was either it's one of three things. Or it's all three of those things. So it's either Captain Toad theme. I didn't even play that game that much. I just really like that theme.
That shows up first where?
Galaxy.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
Galaxy 1?
Galaxy 1,
okay.
Yeah. And then I think it shows back in Galaxy 2, but I don't know. I've actually never played that game.
So and that's my favorite 3D Mario game. But so the treasure sequences with that where it becomes kind of a puzzle mini game.
Yeah.
That's what's then taken and turned into a game.
So
right?
Okay, so
which was on the Wii U first and then ported to Switch.
No, okay, so
am I right?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay. So Captain Toad as a treasure, as a character, first shows up in Galaxy, and that theme first shows up in Galaxy. Those puzzle parts first show up in 3D World.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Then people liked those puzzle parts so much, or Nintendo liked them and no one cared. They turned that into its own game, which is on Wii U, and then was ported to 3DS and Switch.
Okay, that part I was remembering right.
That part you were remembering right. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, you had one or two other favorite
Captain
bits,
Toad theme,
and then we'll get back to the super chat.
The Mario Kart 8 character selection screen theme, and also just the fact that they were able to select their cards was so cool.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then
when they're spinning, to pick up parts, it's
yeah.
Did you mind the way they used items and not actually having question blocks on the track? Because that was kind of weird not to have that.
I thought that was
given that
fine.
You got
because
question blocks
it's not
everywhere.
Really Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, they're just in cars going to a place, and then people are attacking them in other cars. You know,
that's fair.
And it's a fine way to do Mario Kart. You know, they're not racing. They don't need to. Why are they racing? You know, why would they be racing?
Are we gonna get tennis in the sequel? Are we gonna get soccer in the sequel?
Right.
Is Mario gonna have to go to medical school in the sequel?
I was expecting Dr. Mario.
There wasn't one reference to it that I noticed.
One reference.
Maybe there was some Dr. Mario music in the credits.
Maybe there was, but I don't know. I didn't hear any. So
I thought maybe we got the theme from that, like the da 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 da. Was that not in there? Maybe that wasn't in there.
I almost had a heart attack when Luigi first shows up in the Darklands, and I was like, okay, we're gonna get Luigi's Mansion music, right?
And then they did it.
And there was none for like 10 whole seconds, and then it just starts playing the theme. I can't remember how that theme goes, but it just starts playing the theme, and I'm like, and they only do it for like a bar, or not a bar, but whatever that's called, a measure.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, they got it.
Hey, real quick, that's something we should talk about.
Yeah.
That I'm hearing some complaints about from fans.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Luigi's kind of side plot or lack thereof with this? Because I get why that's sort of annoying people.
Yeah.
that he and Mario are separated almost the whole movie, and we do the typical just throw him in a prison and then deal with him later.
I don't know. I think that's fun. I don't know.
But if your movie's gonna be called Super Mario Brothers, and and they're gonna have this like bookend thing, and it's sappy and it's easy. Where he goes, well, as long as we're together, nothing can hurt us. Like, I don't understand that. Like, it can, but okay. like I get Mario is very optimistic. He's blindly optimistic. I will say, I don't totally know where his will and conviction comes from beyond just his name's in the title, and that's what his characterization is supposed to be. Like maybe it's genetic. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's just who he is naturally as a person. Like Luigi is scared. Mario is always gonna push through no matter what. Okay, all right, that's their characterization. But then they finally come back together at the end, and they get to do the big superstar sequence, and now they're the Super Mario Brothers, and they get to fight together. At least they get that sequence.
Yeah.
At least that's not all Mario.
Yeah.
Or all Mario and Peach, because it could have been that.
Right. Oh,
But anyway, I'm sorry. I did that thing where I asked you a question and then I answered it. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But were you so you were mostly okay with the way Luigi was handled?
Yeah. I was okay with it. I don't know. I don't really know what I for a 90-minute movie, I was okay with it, yeah. Because I mean, he's there for, I mean, he gets as much screen time as anyone, I feel like. Because I feel like Bowser didn't get enough screen time. I feel like Mario didn't get enough screen time.
One of my biggest things is just I want Bowser on screen more often. And that's a testament to how well that character was handled, because he's wonderful, but he's not on screen enough.
Did you like Foreman Spike?
I was indifferent to that.
Yeah.
It's a fun reference. I really appreciated the idea of referencing a bunch of early NES games in the real world.
Yeah.
And I like that the real world is also heightened. So it's not, or I shouldn't even say the real world, the Mario's dimension.
Right.
Where the humans come from.
Yeah.
And I really liked putting a pin in Peach's mysterious past. I thought that was a cool idea. Where it's like, maybe I'm from the same world you're from, maybe I'm not. I wound up here. I was raised by the Mushroom Kingdom. Why was there never a reference to her as Toadstool? That should have been there.
Yeah.
There should have been one line about it, right?
Yeah.
There's so much stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just get to the super chats, and then we can talk about references and stuff.
Okay. David Crabtree, hi there, $20 super chat. We really appreciate it, man. He says, really appreciate it. Great discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Great, vibrant animation. My Mario fandom growing up was Mario 1, 2, 3 World and the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and this hit all the right notes for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Did you notice anything from 2? Besides floaty dress Peach, which was wonderful.
Yeah. You clapped at that both times in the theater.
Yeah, I did, because it's awesome.
I mean, I know why, but like I thought that was really funny.
No, you know why? It's not just the floaty dress thing.
Yeah.
It's because that sting in the score is so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, this is the stuff that a lot of adaptations are missing of this kind of thing, where they're trepidatious, they're afraid of leaving people out. And I meant to say this earlier, it's easier with Mario because Mario's so universal now.
Yeah.
Most people have played a Mario game one time, at least.
Right.
And will recognize kind of the big stuff, that you can just make it what it is, and it's accessible by proxy. You know what I mean? You don't have to work real hard at making it accessible for mainstream audience. So they do have an easier job there, where it's maybe easier to get away with just making it what it is.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yep, I'm good.
You gonna take a break?
Nope. I'm good.
It's maybe easier with that. But honestly, I feel like it would be with Sonic also. Maybe not to the same degree. Maybe Sonic's not just inherently not going to make quite as much money these days as a Mario movie. But you could, if you did what you did with Mario and made it just what it is, I think it would do just as well or better than it did at the box office. I'm still not fully understanding why fans and general audiences embraced those movies. I don't think it's a testament to how good they are. There's something else going on there. I don't know how much of it is, and I don't want to compare these too much. I don't know how much of that is just Jim Carrey. I don't know how much of that is just, oh, good, they fixed the design, so now magically the movie is good. But it's, like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be a hypocrite. There is a lot of formulaic about this movie in the storytelling, of course, because it's a pretty cookie cutter thingy in the first place. But when I say the Sonic, especially that first one, because I think the second one's better, but when I say that first Sonic movie is way too formulaic, I mean in taking a property and dumbing it down and genericifying it and throwing it into the same mold as a lot of these live action plus a cartoon kinds of movies, where there's just these little flimsy, easy, obvious references to a few things from the games, and otherwise it could be anything.
Yeah.
And this is so authentic, and we got some of the guys that made the stuff in the first place to work on it, so that's why it is that way. But this should to some degree be your blueprint, I think. So the reason I got so excited at the end of that scene, this is where I was going with this, is when she goes through a makeshift level, and the way it's choreographed is wonderful.
Oh yeah.
And she's jumping on fake bullet bills and piranha plants and everything, and then you get to the end, and she gets the flagpole, and it's this just verbose orchestration of da 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 da, and I couldn't deal with it. That was so exciting to me.
Yeah. What else? Oh, Shy Guys.
True.
That is true. Oh, overworld theme for a split second in the credits.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Of two?
Of two, yeah.
Well, that's a pretty iconic one, too.
Yeah. Oh, you missed a super chat from Tom.
Oh, sorry. I'll go ahead and read that in a second. Quite a bit of World. Still a couple things I wanted from World that weren't there. I could have used some World Castle music. We got a little bit of that in the credits also. Yeah, it felt like the credits was this dumping ground for stuff that he really wanted to put in the movie that he couldn't get in there, so he got them in the credits.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with like Star Trek 09, but at least here we got so much actually in the movie proper. Can I tell you something? This is not fair. Can I tell you something I'm a little bit disappointed with?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have. I'm conflicted.
Are you gonna talk about thwomps?
No, but where are the thwomps? Hey, I got. You know what though? I got dry bones, and you know how much I love dry bones.
Yep.
If I ever get a Mario tattoo, I'm somewhere between a dry bones and a Bowser, and it might just turn into a dry Bowser. Yeah. You suggested that? You said I should just get a dry Bowser? Apparently, I'm a big Bowser fan. It's sort of like zombies. I didn't realize that. I am a little conflicted about something.
Uh-oh. I
like the way the movie bookends with the New York stuff.
Yeah.
I really wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And I found it really satisfying that at the end, Mario goes back home.
We're able to see more of the city and see more of the references and stuff, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and the Mayor Pauline thing is great. I thought it was a missed opportunity not to do something with her and Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and a missed opportunity to not do anything with her at all.
No, she's just a reference. She's just in the background, and that's okay, but it is a little bit weird that you've got Donkey Kong there in the city. I mean, essentially, they made New York City, New Donk City from Odyssey just in having her be the mayor of it, and showing it to us at night, and, like, it did kind of feel like that.
Yeah. And going in the sewers and stuff, because that's a whole thing in New Donk City.
That's a good point. And some of the best animation in the movie is in the sewers.
Yeah, I think so, too.
That stuff was awesome. This is not about what we're talking about. Yep. You know what another missed opportunity was that I thought of on second viewing?
Yeah.
We do have bloopers in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, I'm kind of glad that in general animation has gotten away from the fake blooper reel at the end of your movie. Yeah. But you have bloopers. It's a Mario movie. How do you not have a blooper reel?
Yeah, with bloopers.
Yeah.
Blooper reel.
Yeah, it's right there. Where's the...
Mark it down, Miyamoto.
Hey, okay, so but as much as I like that bookend,
Yeah.
The thing I was actually a little disappointed with, and I thought about this a lot more the second time around, is you have the basic Mario formula, kind of, but because you're integrating stuff from so many different games, you've modernized, and some of that, again, is in not making it a damsel in distress thing, but you've modernized it to the point where you've gotten away from Mario goes through levels, and then he gets to the end, and he goes all the way through a castle, and then he fights Bowser at the end of the castle. I kind of wanted that.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted the movie to end in a castle.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate, again, narratively roping it back to where we were in the first place and making it enough of a story to say, hey, look, it's a movie.
Right.
So, because what I like about that is in making it a traditional hero's journey, the hero goes on an Odyssey, and then at the end, he returns home.
Yeah.
And I like that we did that. Like, that's cool. He's got his descent into hell, and then he returns home. Like, that does happen.
Yeah.
But you see why I'm saying I would have kind of liked that. It is a little bit weird that Mario never has to go to a Bowser castle.
Yeah. Yeah, that is weird.
Tom's $5 super chat says, I feel like the Illumination scenes showed pretty bad in the bathroom scene, and it felt like a Nintendo Illumination compromise with the other castle. Does he mean the line about your princesses in another castle? Because I actually really liked that.
Yeah. And that's played by the bad Bugs Bunny. And you can tell
the current actor for Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, did you catch that the second time? Like, could you
tell
that it does sound like Bugs Bunny? Like,
no, I didn't have it.
It just sounds like Bugs Bunny.
Well, you know why I didn't have that? Because I don't think current Bugs Bunny sounds anything like Bugs Bunny.
Right. Well, okay, did it sound anything like current Bugs Bunny?
Well, not remembering what that sounded like right off. It doesn't sound like Bugs Bunny. Give me just a minute. But I agree about the bathroom scene, and the second time around, that was where it most jumped out at me.
Yeah.
Especially with how that dog is handled. I don't know what it is. I don't like the way Illumination does animals.
Yeah, and it just...
The expressions, the, like almost humanizing the two ends. There's something about that I don't like.
And I feel like they just had to get a dog in there because they're Illumination. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, it's like they just sucked it out of Secret Life of Pets.
It just looks like a dog from Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah. Did you know the secret life of pets?
Secret Life of Pets.
The secret to the pets is that they are in the Mario world. Tom, $5 super chat. As funny as it was, did it feel like the Bowser piano scene or scenes felt like the studio let Jack Black improvise? Well, yeah, because they did, and that was okay. Like, that's the right call for a character like that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they did that, but they didn't let him overly improvise. It's not like the whole movie he's making up all his own dialogue.
Yeah.
It's not like Jim Carrey, and I like him okay in those, but it's not like Jim Carrey in the Sonic movies where it's like he barely has a script and just do things.
Yeah.
And you can't say we never do that with animation, because that's how the Genie in Aladdin was handled, and it worked there, but... Tom, once again, $5 super chat. Donkey Kong 64 rap intro was awesome, but no Candy Kong, sad face. Great review, guys. Thanks. Did we never see Candy Kong anywhere?
No, or Kitty Kong.
Yeah, that's fine. You said there was a reference to Funky Kong somewhere, though.
Oh, yeah. So, very
and
end.
I missed that.
Very end. Where in the bedroom? Well, no, not in the bedroom. Not very end. What am I talking about?
What are you talking about?
In his house. Whose house? Old Donkey Kong. Cranky Kong.
Which is awesome because it's the house right out of the beginning of Donkey Kong Country. It's laid out precisely
like that. Yeah.
And one of my disappointments was, and maybe it can't be because it's got to be so big to get all the toads in.
Yeah.
But the Mario 64 castle is not laid out like the castle, and I was really hoping it would be.
Yeah.
There's bits of it, but anyway. So when we got that room, it's like, okay, well that's cool. At least this looks exactly like that room.
Yeah.
But yeah, where is the Funky Kong reference?
It's just on the wall, next to the whatever. I don't know what's on the wall, but it's like only there for like a couple frames, but like it is Funky Kong on his
Airplane?
whatever, like on his board.
Oh yeah,
on
yeah,
his
yeah.
not skateboard, waterboard thing.
Maybe it's a missed opportunity not to use Funky Kong in the
the eel scene.
No. I was gonna say in the Kart select area.
Yeah.
He could have been running that place.
That'd
That'd be what I would have done with it, because he's like a vehicle guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And yes, the Donkey Kong 64 rap was awesome.
Yes, we did talk about that.
I am glad.
Hey, predictions or wants for the next film or spin-offs?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I want them to do Mario World.
Yep.
Next.
Yep.
And I want them to go to different places and fight Koopa Kids. And I want them to do Yoshi's and Koopa Kids. And I want that's what I want for Mario 2. I want a Luigi's Mansion movie.
Are we gonna if we do the Koopa Kids? Are we gonna say that Ludwig van Koopa Von Koopa actually makes pianos? Because that was just a reference to that, and it felt like a reference to a thing that doesn't exist in the world. But I would think they'll do them at some point.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah,
I had that thought.
And yeah, I want a Luigi's Mansion movie. Do I want?
They will justify not utilizing him as much with to fans if he gets his own movie.
Yeah. Also, I want a Paper Mario movie. Just with like Mario movies, like I want a Paper Mario movie. I don't know why, I just do. And the aesthetic
could be cool.
And I want. Okay, you're gonna definitely agree with me on this.
Okay.
I
plan to. No, sorry, go ahead.
So I want Mario 2, or this could be a spin-off movie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You tell me what it should be. I want Mario 1 was Mario Odyssey. I want Mario 2 to be Mario World. Mario 3 is Bowser's Inside Story.
Oh man, that's freaking awesome. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So I love Bowser's Inside Story. It's the only Mario Luigi game I've played, and I need to play the others. But it has a really cool story for being what it is.
Yeah.
It's really creative, and the dialogue is hilarious.
Yeah.
It also has a really good soundtrack. But yes, that's brilliant. Where like we actually go inside Bowser.
Yeah.
But you actually also play as Bowser some in that game, so like he still would get plenty of screen time and
stuff. Yeah, I want a Bowser movie. So Bowser's Inside Story.
That's awesome. Okay, that's a really cool idea for a trilogy, honestly. Okay, so Donkey Kong Country obviously is the next thing I want.
Right.
And like as a straight up spin-off. And by the way, we didn't talk about this. Not only was it cool how much country we got, but a lot from Returns specifically, and I was floored by that.
Like the tikis and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. And you mentioned Super Kong. That's from that game.
Super Kong is from that game, which is why is he in that? Why is he in this movie?
No, that's wild.
What?
One of two things that I want for a sequel to this. I'm going to echo you on Mario World, and of course that's my favorite 2D Mario game, so that's part of it. But it also just feels like kind of a natural thing to do, where you go specifically to, because we're setting up Yoshi, and so you go to Dinosaur Island. And that's the next big place that you explore. You actually do more of an exploration movie with that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And introduce the Koopa Kids there. I'm with you on all of that. Side note, I didn't love that we had to do the typical obvious, you get to the end credit scene. It's just exactly what anybody that knows anything would think it would be. You know? It's like, get to the end of the Sonic movie, and am I supposed to be shocked that you're showing us Tails?
Yeah.
Okay. I was kind of surprised by the way people that saw this before me were talking about it.
Yeah.
It came out Wednesday. I saw it Thursday, and people that saw it Wednesday or before were saying, "Oh man, you gotta stay for the after credits." I couldn't believe it. And you know what I thought? Because there's been so much talk about this going, obviously being a franchise, but maybe being a shared universe, which I know is not what you want.
Yeah.
Or at least, I mean, it could be a shared universe with Mario stuff, but I know that when we get to Metroid and Zelda and all that, you don't want it to be shared universe.
No.
And I agree with that. But I thought they were going to set up something completely outside of Mario.
Yeah.
The way people were talking about it, there was just a Yoshi egg, and I was like, "That's it." Okay. And I can't remember who, but somebody I was talking to the other day said it's not even a reveal because you had Yoshis in the movie.
Yeah.
Tom, another $2 super chat. Thank you. He says, "Odd no King K. Rool or Yoshi / King Yoshi." I don't know what King Yoshi is.
Yeah.
I don't know what he means by that. But we did get a glimpse of Yoshi's.
Yeah.
But then you got an egg, and you hear Yoshi. He's like, "Yoshi," and I'm like, "Okay." Like, we know there's Yoshis.
You didn't even get.
Not sure what the point of that was.
They didn't even get a voice actor. They just used Yoshi's. Like, you can't do Yoshi now without not doing a. Like, why did you do that?
So what they'll do is they'll say that he has, like, a regular voice, but then he made this commercial where he came out of an egg. And so he's doing this like exaggerated Yoshi voice for his commercial.
No. Okay, so if we have to get a
Yeah.
if we have to get a spin-off TV show.
Yeah.
For just Mario movie. Just Mario stuff. What would you want?
Specifically a show?
Yeah, specifically for a show. Because I want Yoshi's Woolly World, the TV show.
Be cool. I thought you meant spinning off specifically things from this.
Spin-off specifically things from this. Yeah, I'm not sure. What I would want,
because one of the first things,
a Mario Kart show.
Yeah, one of the first things that pops to my mind is King Boo Goes to Weddings. That was one of the best bits to me. Every episode he goes to another wedding. He's so excited about weddings. He's like, I'm at a wedding. That's a joke, but I think the Mario Kart, to your point, the Mario Kart show could just be like an episodic thing where you're world building in the Donkey Kong Country world, and obviously Mario Kart would be a big part of that.
Yeah.
And the other thing would be just the day-to-day life of Princess Peach running the castle.
Yeah.
Because there's a movie there.
Yeah.
So I said earlier,
Super Princess Peach,
or there's a TV show there. So I want them to be careful and not like throw out too much content for the sake of content. Right. Obviously, let me just throw that out there real quick. But that doesn't mean that there's not lots of potential for things. I said that I wanted the sequel to be one of two things. I'm 100% with you on Mario World. But the other thing would be a movie set entirely in the castle and kind of adapt 64 and go into the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another really cool thing you could do. And basically make it like a really bright, lighthearted Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
There's a movie there. I said this to you when we watched it today. I just really wanted to go to the back of the castle and see if there's booze back there.
Yeah.
And then we can get the piano.
Yeah.
The angry piano.
Yeah.
And then da 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 da.
I want Bowser's piano to come alive.
Why does he have that at the end?
Why does he have it in the cage?
Yeah. He's in prison. They gave him a little piano. Why did they give him that? So he could sing the rest of that song. It was so they could contrive a way to get the rest of the song in that movie.
Yeah. I know what TV show they should make. They should make a TV show based off of a Mario video game released in 2015.
Yeah.
Super Mario Maker. The TV show.
Okay.
Where
Is it a kid that's making levels and then Mario has to go through them? Is that
or something? Yeah. Well, I guess they kind of did that. I guess they kind of did do Mario Maker in this movie. I didn't think of that. But you know the question block that turns into a level? Like, you know, they made the level.
Oh! Yeah, I didn't think of that.
I'm probably thinking about that too much.
Yeah, maybe so. But that's interesting. You're basically pitching like Mario as Beetleborgs right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, David Crabtree, another $20 super chat. Thank you so much.
You
he
missed
says
another super chat.
Oh, he says, Tom, $2 super chat. Is that scene why you did a Donkey Kong racing video?
What?
What scene? When did we do a Donkey Kong racing video?
We never did a Wait, there's not even. Wait, what?
I'm not sure what he means by that. Sorry, Tom.
Okay, sorry.
But that reminds me. I was kind of expecting, with the sheer number of racers, to see some Diddy Kong racing.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if there's characters they don't have the rights to between Nintendo and Rare.
Yeah.
I don't actually know that.
Well, okay, so Nintendo only owns 2 of the characters from Diddy Kong Racing. And I actually really want one of them.
You did a video on that recently, didn't you?
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. So, and I actually want one of them in a Donkey Kong Country movie, if we do that, like, as maybe, like, K. Rool's, like, right-hand man. The only 2 characters Nintendo still has the rights to are, Diddy Kong and Crunch.
Okay.
Which is, like, a Kremling that's only in Diddy Kong Racing games.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, I think that would be cool. Just to be in the movie.
Somebody earlier suggested that K. Rool would be a great villain for the sequel. I want a Donkey Kong Country movie.
Yeah, I don't want him to be in a Mario movie. I feel like that would be
if
weird.
they do another crossover thing, but I would much prefer just a straight up Donkey Kong Country movie. And Rogan won me over completely, so.
Yeah.
And when Tom earlier, because I didn't really respond to this, when Tom earlier said it was weird K. Rool wasn't in this, I don't agree with that. I'm not sure where he'd be, but anyway. You just have a pirate ship that's just driving past the DK Island for no reason.
Yeah.
He's over there.
Can we take a real quick break, real quick?
Real quick. We're at like 2 hours. Okay, we're gonna take a very quick break and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up, folks. We have a few more super chats to look at. We'll try to look at least a couple of regular comments, because there are some interesting things that I saw, and we both had so many things we wanted to talk about. We haven't been able to get back to them. So we'll try not to go much longer than another half hour, but we are gonna take a real quick break before that. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. And we're back. We're trying to get through our massive dissertation on the Super Mario Brothers movie. And let's go ahead and finish up these super chats, Jason, and then I will let you get to references to your heart's content. David Crabtree, once again, $20 super chat. Really appreciate you. He says, saw this in a panicked theater with parents. I'm sorry. Now I'm getting delusional here. We've been sitting here so long. Saw this in a packed theater. It was a panic theater. It was all panic. Somebody yelled fire in that theater. It was a problem.
Oh no!
A packed theater. Don't do that, kids. A packed theater with parents and their kids. Crowd was engaged and got full applause at the end. We had that too. Tracking for 368 million 5-day opening globally. I've read that too. This is one of those cross-generational movie watching experiences. There was no doubt this was going to be huge. The advertising was handled right, although I still feel like I saw a little too much.
Yeah.
At some point, I had to quit watching TV spots and stuff.
We got 3. Oh yeah, I just didn't even look at my tablet for like 3 days.
Well, in your circles, I'm sure it was really difficult to not get spoiled.
Yeah, cause half of my YouTube recommendations were like TV spots for this character and this song, and I'm like, I literally got spoiled half of it
just by titles and stuff.
Just by titles. Like, I really wish I didn't know who Martinet was. But I just knew it from one video that I didn't even watch.
I don't think, to David's point, or to a super chat, I don't think this is going to have a big drop-off.
Yeah.
Critics aren't loving it, but fans are eating it up. And as he says, it is universal in the sense that there's plenty of incentive for adults and for not just kids to go see this. And there's a lot of adults that are going to go on their own, which is unusual, of course, for kids' movies like this. I don't know. A lot of this would go without saying if it was just somehow Nintendo making it on their own, or if it was a live-action Mario movie that still looked like Mario.
Yeah.
But I think that it's being compared a lot to regular kids' movies because Illumination is making it.
Yeah.
Does it hit $1 billion?
Maybe.
I think it maybe has a shot at that. I think it's going to hit at least 7 or 8.
Yeah.
700 or 800 million, but it could get to the $1 billion mark. Chewbacca's Lover, $5 super chat says, I don't know what PPI means, but he says PPI thought there were Me Too undertones with Bowser and Peach. Not a joke. Big feminist controversy about it. Is it justified? Haven't seen it yet. I kind of dealt with this earlier. There was another super chat that asked about that, and as I said, and I'll just say this real briefly because we've already covered this, but I don't think that's justified. I also feel like these days, it just kind of feels like people are looking for controversy in everything.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy, and I don't feel like the movie is putting anything so egregious to. I don't know. I've kind of already made this point, but like I don't feel like there's anything in the film itself that is so egregious to make me think that it's mean-spirited, or the people making the film are like imagining like really, really horrible things with that, and we can read way too far into all of that. And it's just what's supposed to be fun about it is the absurdity of an evil dinosaur that wants to get together with
He's a turtle.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
No. I'm like, he's a turtle. Why are you making controversy? But he's a turtle.
Yeah, it's just inherently absurd and funny.
Like, yeah, and it's absurd because he's a turtle. Like, yeah. Just kind of to your point, and then you made the point, and then I was like, oh.
And also, I just, if it was super, lewd about it, where we couldn't get off making a lot of, like thinly veiled rape jokes or something, yeah, I can see why people will be offended by that. But it bugs me when people want to ding a movie for having a villain doing villainous things. he's the bad guy.
He's
like I don't understand that. Like he's got to have some kind of bad motivation.
A movie without a villain? Like
it's like it's like in order to not offend anybody, we've got to go back to like 60s Batman or something where all bad guys do is steal jewelry. That's what they do now.
Yeah.
It can't be any worse than that, or we're somehow I've got to get off this because it bothers me, or somehow the movie itself or the people that are making it are like taking up for the bad behavior because they put it in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Anyway, moving right along. There are a lot of super chats, folks. Bob, appreciate you guys. Bob the Hunt, finally super chat, says Pepe Le Pew was banned from. I really want to get off some of this PC stuff if we can. Pepe Le Pew was banned from the new Space Jam. Also, the Animaniacs don't chase women anymore. People are more sensitive about this now. Agree with you, though. Yes, they absolutely are, and that's why that kind of thing is happening. Tom, $2 super chat. GameCube ringtone was cool. I thought so too. And very often with the ringtone thing, we'll go to the most obvious thing possible. Or like in, the Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man has to have the Spider-Man theme as his ringtone.
Yeah.
And here, it was kind of cool that it was relatively obscure, at least for a general audience. Like, it's the GameCube boot-up song.
By the way,
that's fun.
That is very fun, and...
You made a whole video about that.
Did you? I did. Did you... Did you ever go to the website? Like the Mario Brothers plumbing website? Where they have just like a bunch of like clickable things that just like make sounds. And one of them is the GameCube theme.
Is that a viral thing for this movie, or is that?
Yeah, it's a thing for this movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was made by Nintendo, and
no, that's cool.
It's like, it's in the trailer. It's in the like Super Bowl commercial.
No, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, but yeah, I got spoiled about that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Aw, that sucks. Man, you should have just gotten off the internet from the moment the first trailer dropped. BTS with CTS, greetings. That's the name I don't recognize. $10 super chat. Curious, how would you make a video game movie? Do what the Super Mario Bros. Movie did for fans of all ages with its fan service and make it accessible for non-fans like superhero movies have done? Is it possible? In general, first of all, let me say, it's kind of nice. It sucks that it took 30 years, but it's kind of cool that with this we have both things.
Yeah. That
we have like, and it's that first movie is like compromised, and there was a lot of turmoil behind the scenes, and it's not the best possible version that movie could have been, of course.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you sort of got somebody's like unique reinterpretation of the material, and then with this you got it in more or less its purest form, plus a little Illumination nonsense. So it's cool that you got both. Generally speaking, I like to see things taken as off the page as possible and just see how many people out there that didn't look at it in its original form might enjoy it in a medium that they're more comfortable with, generally speaking. Now, when I'm looking at these things case by case, and I talk about this with Superhero Rewind all the time, I'm looking at the movie that was made, and very often, I shouldn't say very often, but at least some of the time, you'll get movies like The Shadow, like The Mask, that will, I'm just talking about superhero now, that will be Constantine, that will get very far, that will be big departures from the original source material and are still like totally worthwhile and interesting pieces and fun on their own, and weren't horribly compromised things.
Oh yeah, The Mask. I always forgot that was an adaptation.
Yeah, and it's in a totally different mode.
Yeah, it's...
but and I don't want to get off on that again, but I'm just saying that that just because a movie starts with the basic premise and reinterprets it and isn't the source material doesn't mean that it won't be worthwhile and there's not something cool there. Yeah. But I also totally get being disappointed that it wasn't handled closer to source material. So sometimes it's kind of fun to get both. It's sort of like having an Elseworlds version of something and also its original thing. Yeah. But the reason that, generally speaking, I would much prefer even though I've liked a lot of those things, the original thing as close to, especially the spirit of it as possible, is so that general audiences that say won't play a video game, won't read a comic book, et cetera, get to experience that and enjoy it for what we loved about it in the first place.
Yeah.
And the sweet spot is when you can say, I'm a fan of this, and like people that already like it agree with you.
Yeah.
And that's not a prudish statement. What I mean is, you can say, I'm a fan of this because I saw the movie, and the movie is close enough to the source material. Yes, you are a fan of what I'm a fan of, and not this other thing that is not that. I don't know if that answers the question, but... yeah, exactly. If you say you're a Sonic fan just based on the Sonic movies, I have a hard time with that.
They're a Sonic fan because they've seen the Sonic movie and they've never played a game.
And again, not to be a prude about it, but I would say, well, you're a fan of the Sonic movies, and that's okay, but you're not a fan of what I like about it, necessarily.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We're just defining terms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Senior Nerd, I literally just got out of seeing Super Mario, and I love it. Senior Nerd, the end credit was perfect. Yeah, I just thought the end credit was kind of obvious. Philip Kelton, please read this, because I don't have money to pay for a super chat right now. What makes this movie a good adaptation is they analyzed what the game was doing, figure out there was a lesson about perseverance, and they did a story, perseverance, and they did a story about it. Yeah, exactly. I sort of said that earlier. The movie still could have been more. It spent too much time doing world building. That's nice, but it could have made the story more interesting. I mean, I don't totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I don't think Mario himself needed to be any more complex of a character than he was.
Right.
And that's the part of the pushback with critics that I'm not agreeing with.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I think it's silly that some of this has gotten as controversial as it is. Like, I wouldn't expect a lot of mainstream critics to like a movie like this.
No.
I do think it's weird when they you can't be consistent about this. You like what you like and you don't like what you don't like, whatever. But in my head, it is hard to imagine a critic that, say, really liked Secret Life of Pets but didn't appreciate anything about this.
Right.
But I didn't see that movie, so what do I know? Horrid Films, Damn No Castle. There are castles, we just don't have Mario going into a Bowser Castle. Tom, $5 super chat. Jason did a video for Diddy Kong Racing recently, and they do the racing part of the game with Donkey Kong. Was that why he did a video on it recently?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't even know about that, did we?
We didn't know about that, and
That's not one of the things that was spoiled for you.
Made it because I was on a Diddy Kong Racing kick, and so I learned about the story of this other thing that was supposed to be the sequel of Diddy Kong Racing. Also, watch that.
And I think we knocked out all of the super chats so far. Let's scroll back up real quick. Okay, you said you had some more references you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's do that real quick, and then we can go ahead and try to wrap up here.
Okay. So, oh man, where do I start? There's kind of mainly just a lot of. I kind of just wanted to get all the stuff like on walls and stuff out of the way, cause there's like.
Well, we don't need to point out every single thing we recognized, right?
Right.
But if there's something you just really want to hit, let's do that.
I thought it was cool that there was a lot of like, just old NES games and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Kung Fu, Kid Icarus, Punch Out. I thought that was cool. And also they had a sign for. I can't remember if there was a character that was like I can't remember if one of these characters was also another like Nintendo thing, but it was like someone versus Ultra Machine. It was like a boxing match poster thing, and Ultra Machine is the name of like a old Nintendo toy from the 70s. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then there was also a sign for Discon, which was which was the mascot for the Famicom Disk System.
Yeah, I did not know about that. That was the thing you had to explain to me.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Real quick, Philip Kelman, fan service is not what this movie did right. What it did right was finding a message about perseverance that could be told using the Mario Brothers series. Fan service is just meaningless trivia, checkboxes that do not make a movie good, just trick you into consuming trash. I mean, yeah, that absolutely happens, but I'm going to push back a little bit and say that this is a movie that certainly kind of up front says this is a love letter to a franchise for the fans.
Yeah.
And if it didn't have any kind of an arc whatsoever for Mario, I would maybe cry foul about that a little bit, at least, again, if it was pretending to be a traditional narrative at all. Like, again, it's just about like justifying it as a piece. So if it comes out and says it really is just a series of cutscenes, we can argue about whether or not you should have that without gameplay.
Yeah.
But like, even if it didn't have the message about perseverance that you're talking about, and Mario like doing the Rocky thing and like always getting back up even when he's not confident and sure of himself. I mean, I like that. I like that he's the traditional hero that refuses to change. He's weirdly kind of like a Batman kind of character. He's not Batman, but you know what I mean. Where like the world keeps trying to push him down. Even his family doesn't believe in him. And he says, and again, I don't fully understand where this comes from with this character, but that's somewhat intentional too. Like, again, you're supposed to be able to see yourself in him. That's always been the point of that character, and I like that there was an attempt at making that work somehow in a film. And so I'm with you. I like all of that, and it does make it a better movie, and I feel like maybe it's true that there are critics that aren't appreciating that that's there, or just see it as generic and like I've been here and done this before. But I think to some degree it's supposed to be generic. That is this character. There's a book that I read. I meant to reference this earlier. What is that called? I pulled it up. And I think this is where I'm getting this from. There's a book called. And my apologies if this was from something else I read. I forget, because I've read a couple of books breaking down the history of Mario, and even discussing like what the character is doing in the games. But there's a book called A History of Video Games in 64 Objects. I think it's 64 Objects. Have you ever heard of this book, Jason?
No.
And it's kind of like going through major, not just games, but like objects in that exist with video games. So some of it is consoles, some of it is games, etc. Almost like you're walking through a museum. And when it's getting into the original Mario Brothers, it's talking about. I think this is where I got this. It might be in a different book, but it's talking about how this idea that Mario is. You're supposed to be able to bring whatever you bring to that character. That it's about Miyamoto's idea of being able to play the game any way you want to.
Yeah.
And that if he is a blank slate, except for the fact that he is like that underdog that like with this movie kind of keeps getting up, then anybody can see themselves as that character, and it's about the interaction with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I had really ever appreciated that before I read that book.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of why this is working for me, is because it somehow retains that even within a narrative structure. Now, what I was trying to say earlier, though, is if the movie said this really is just a love letter to this franchise, and it's not really about anything at all, and you kind of understand that up front, and it has no pretension about that, and all it wants to do is just be a very basic Mario saves the princess, or Mario saves Luigi, or whatever it is, that still could be a lot of fun and be, you know, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like that it's more than that. But some people need it to be even more than that, and I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said earlier, you know, I compare it again to Batman versus Ninja Turtles, where the movie's not really about very much at all, but it doesn't have to be. And
right.
and I don't think it's with references and whatever. It's not, but it isn't trash, because it's authentic to that material and it has such reverence for it, and it's not copping out. I don't think it's not gimmicky. It's just the sort of story it's telling is a surface story in the first place. And I think there's room for that. I think you can tell those kinds of stories. And the problem is when you pretend like it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too bogged down with all of this. Philip Kelton says, sure, but what people are calling fan service was world building. I mean, but it can be both.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. And, yeah, I don't want to quibble over semantics, but you're right. Like there is maybe a distinction that people aren't appreciating with that. What you have to ask yourself, and this is, you know, like everybody individually has to decide this for themselves. If you weren't already really familiar with this world, would you appreciate the world building? And I don't know, because I already am familiar with this world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't. You know, unsee what I've seen.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, Jason, I didn't mean to take over there too much, but
that's okay. I have no idea. I would have nothing to say about that. So,
but I wanted to address that real quick because he seemed to have some passionate points there. But yeah, real quick, other things that you notice, like Easter eggs that people might not be familiar with. And again, it's not a good movie because it's got Easter eggs,
right?
But some of this stuff is fun to talk about.
Yeah.
But you talk about like the Famicom disc system and.
Yeah, I think I.
Get a little closer to the mic.
Did not notice this the first time, so I don't know if it's actually what this is. But in a couple frames, I did see the Super Famicom logo as well in like downtown area. But I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Because there's definitely a lot, like, yeah. Those are the main things, like, that I said. I know there's, there's a lot of Jumpman machines.
Yeah. Yeah, does it break your brain to see Mario playing an NES?
Yes.
It kind of breaks my brain a little bit.
There are people, that are like, oh, Mario's playing Kid Icarus. That means that the next movie that they make is gonna be a Kid Icarus movie.
Don't do that.
No, that's not why. The reason that he's playing Kid Icarus is because we're probably not gonna get a Kid Icarus movie anytime soon.
Right. So that allows them to reference it in some way. No, it means the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have a tendency to look for any kind of tells that something they want is going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
And folks can get kind of ridiculous about that. Anyway, okay, we have been at this almost 2.5 hours somehow. Yeah. Are we good?
I'm good.
You got anything else you absolutely have to bring up?
I don't think I have anything to talk about.
There's definitely more stuff we could have done, but I think we're going to call it a day here. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate the support from Super Chatters, and thanks a bunch for just being here and listening to us, whether you're watching live or after the fact. We really appreciate it. I am on hiatus right now, writing a movie script, and just coming in for stuff like this and just occasional live streams. I'm going to take at least another week off from the regular schedule. Could be longer than that, depending on how well this goes. And we really appreciate you guys. I hope you had a good time. We certainly did.
Yeah.
I will be back at least next Sunday for a double feature movie review with Connor, if that works out. He and I are going to, and you might be there for that too.
I think I'm going to be there, right?
We were talking about that.
I want to be there.
Yeah, well, you totally can. Yeah. We're going to talk about, we're going to do biopics.
Yeah,
biopics. We're going to do new.
I love biopics.
This is so niche and hilarious. Brand new biopics.
That are coming out on almost exactly the same date.
Yeah. Brand new biopics that came out at the same time about inventors in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're going to do Air and we're going to do Tetris. So look forward to that. In the meantime, I was Captain Logan. This was Jayson.
This was me.
And thanks for talking to me this long about this movie, Jayson. And
What?
thanks for all of the...
It took us so long to talk about this movie.
Yeah. It probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. Well, we'll see you later, folks. Bye, everybody.